Hi, my name is Tom Floyd and I'm the head of coffee for Square Mile Coffee Roasters. I hope you've enjoyed the coffees for Leaderboard this month. I'd like to present our offering, Fazana Pinhal from Brazil. We selected this coffee because it shows great fruit in the cup, particularly red fruit, red plum, strawberries, silky body and a nice dark chocolate finish. This particular coffee is very low in a sort of nutty element that is quite common in Brazil coffees. So I wanted to sort of display how fruit forward a Brazil coffee can be. So let's assess the different elements of this coffee. First off, I'd like to start with the processing. Some of you may have detected a very obviously fruity flavor coming through. And yes, it's a natural processed coffee. So a little background, natural processed coffee is where they've left the fruit on the seed and dried it. This one particularly has been dried for 14 days. And what happens is you get the sort of fruity flavors. When it's been processed so well, like this one has, you'll notice there aren't any sort of really that funky flavors coming through or fermented flavors coming through. Pinhal was produced by the Gerais Teixeira family. Fazenda Pinhal is known for producing high quality coffees consistently year on year, producing clean, well processed coffee. And this is a great example of the family's hard work in action. There's 32% of the farm that's dedicated to producing high quality coffees. You'd be wondering, well, what else they're doing with the other 68%? Well, they've got it dedicated to eucalyptus forest, natural reserve as well, and farming cattle as well on pasture. So it's very much all about producing high quality coffee, as well as conservation and making sure that practices are done correctly. Fazana Pinhal is quite a large farm in terms of overall production from many origins. Set within Brazil, I would say this is a much smaller farm in terms of output. This coffee was grown between 905 meters and 1100 meters, which is relatively average in terms of height for Brazil coffee. Typically the flavor profile that you would get from coffee, let's say take a washed Colombian grown at 1800 meters, you would tend to get a lot more like crisper acids, sparkling acids up at that altitude. This coffee hasn't got the sort of sparkling acids that may be associated with high altitude, but what it does have is a very fruit forward cup that is perhaps displaying rounder acids, perhaps more towards the cooked element. So you might be getting some like plum pie or something of that nature. And that's partly because we don't have altitude. That's not to take into account that natural obviously is a high impact on flavor, natural processing, but it's to take altitude as part of that conversation. Perhaps probably the hardest element of the competition here is the varietal. Catucai is a hybrid between Icatu and Catuai. Catuai is a variety you might have come across before. It's over 50% of Arabica coffee grown in Brazil is Catuai. It's known for great cup quality and good yield levels, but it is susceptible to leaf rust. Icatu you might be less familiar with. It is a hybrid between Robusta and Red Bourbon, and it's more resistant to leaf rust. Catucai has all the benefits of the great cup quality Catuai brings to the table with good yield, along with the hardiness, the leaf resistance part of the Icatu. Brazil has some of the most advanced farming practices in the world for growing coffee, and they are very good at keeping varieties separate. So over time, tasting many Brazils, you can build up a great portfolio of different flavor profiles associated with variety. During the pre-production process of roasting this coffee, we obviously tasted the coffee and highlighted the red fruit and the silky body, and we were really keen to make sure that that was prevalent in the cup. So we ensured we didn't dry out the coffee too much. We were fairly soft and gentle with it at the start, but made sure that it had adequate end temperature to sort of seal off that flavor. So you get good developed sweetness throughout the cup, but you haven't lost the fruit of this coffee. I hope you've enjoyed the coffee as much as we have and found today interesting. I think it's a great example of a sweet, clean, natural process Brazil coffee that we've managed to share with you. I would also like to thank the family for their dedication and quality. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. And lastly, thank you all very much.